The WBO has ordered 154 lb champion Sebastian Fundora to defend against Terence Crawford next in a unification fight, but Canelo Alvarez remains open to fighting Crawford next if he's victorious in the September 14th title fight against Edgar Berlanga.
What do we think about Terence Crawford's performance, and do you want to get a fight with him?
If the money is right, I mean...
$100 million? I heard Turkey offered you a big money already.
150.
150?
Crawford, after his victory over Israil Madrimov to secure the WBA light middleweight title, has made his aspirations clear. He wants to challenge Canelo Alvarez, who currently reigns as the unified super middleweight champion. However, the weight difference between the two raises questions about the feasibility and competitiveness of the match. In a recent interview, Alvarez acknowledged the buzz, but expressed skepticism about the benefits of such a fight. When asked if the WBO order eliminates the possibility of facing Crawford, Alvarez remarked, "I don't think so. I'm not saying that fight can't happen. That order doesn't matter." Canelo previously noted that the significant weight disparity could result in a no-win scenario for him. "If I beat him, people will say it was expected because of the size difference. But if he wins, it would be seen as a massive upset," Alvarez explained, suggesting that the fight might not be worth the risk from his perspective. Turki Alalshikh is optimistic that he'll speak with Canelo Alvarez after his fight against Edgar Berlanga on September 14th about him fighting Terence Crawford and David Benavidez. Previously, Alalshikh took aim at Alvarez after the Mexican champion dismissed the idea of working together under any terms other than his own. The incident unfolded during a press conference in Beverly Hills, where Canelo Alvarez was promoting his upcoming September 14th fight against Edgar Berlanga. When questioned about a potential offer from Alalshikh to fight Terence Crawford, Alvarez expressed his discontent with Alalshikh's approach.
I don't really care about it. Look, I'm focused 100% on my fight, and I don't really care about it. They called me yesterday. They text me yesterday if is it possible to talk about the Crawford fight for February or meet to yesterday here in Los Angeles with him. And I said, look, I'm 100% focused on this fight, and I can talk about other fights. Maybe that's why he talked about that today, because I say I'm not ready to talk about other fights, and I don't really ask him for anything. I'm good.
And that's fair.
This statement marked the end of the potential mega fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, sparking discussions across the boxing community. Alalshikh's tweet revealed a deliberate pivot towards the U.S. market, emphasizing his intent to create more significant opportunities for boxing legend Terence Crawford. Alalshikh further added, "I decided to disregard the Canelo fight, as I don't want it anymore. Instead, I will be focusing on the U.S. market with bigger fights, especially for the legend Crawford." He further continued, "And I know how he feels after losing to Bivol, so he's been looking for easier fights ever since. Also, I'm not the one who's afraid of fighting David Benavidez or Crawford. Therefore, I knew he was wasting our time and making excuses with big amounts of money that can't be paid. So I'm continuing my way to make big fights that serve the boxing world, and he's on his way to making easy show-only fights." Canelo Alvarez then responded to his Excellency critical post with a crying emoji, signaling his indifference about his views. Indeed, Alvarez doesn't seem bothered by Turki's comments because he needs him and not vice versa. But after all this drama, Turki has mentioned that a partnership between him and Canelo is possible in the near future. He said, "He, Canelo, sent me a direct message that he wants to connect after the fight." When asked if he believes he can rekindle the relationship with Canelo after his fight with Edgar Berlanga, Turki said, "It is nothing personal, it is business. If Canelo is asking for similar money as the British heavyweights like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury are getting for their recent fights, he's not going to be happy receiving less than that for the biggest fights available to him." Turki said that he would like to see Canelo face Crawford or Benavidez next. "I'd like to see it again, Crawford, and I'd like to see it against Benavidez." When asked if Canelo needs to be realistic by not asking for $200 million for a fight against Benavidez, Turki said, "Of course, no one pays this kind of money. Working with Canelo is possible for Turki, but it's questionable whether he'll have luck putting together fights against Crawford or Benavidez. Canelo is already wealthy and makes good money fighting less popular fighters. Canelo isn't worried about fighting an aging, undersized fighter like Crawford. Still, fighting a defensive guy coming off a poor performance against Israil Madrimov would not do much for him. It's a fight that helps Crawford more than Canelo, so the Mexican star would want to be paid well to make it worthwhile. Nothing is impossible. Let's see in the future what happens, but if someone can do it, it's Riyadh season," said Turki on his belief that he'll be able to work with Canelo. Turki also said that Crawford is only looking to fight Canelo next. He said, "I don't think Crawford will fight anyone except Canelo. This is my opinion. This is what I feel, but it is about him. We gave him an offer for Virgil Ortiz, and I don't know if he will take it or not. We have an agreement to do a big fight for Ortiz if Crawford doesn't take the fight, but I don't think Crawford will take it. I think he only wants Canelo. I understand that. I respect all the fighters." Canelo Canelo said that if the money is right, then there is no problem in him facing Crawford. But Canelo also said that Crawford will be an easy fight for him due to the weight class difference between the two fighters.
The Sheik said that he would be willing to pay whatever you want to fight Crawford.
Fine.
Yeah.
If he's willing to pay whatever I want, hands down.
That'll work. So if yeah, you're in. So if the numbers were right with Crawford, you'll do it.
Why not? Why not? I think Crawford, don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. But for me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight. For me, easy money. So if the money is right, I'm in, because you know I don't like to fight guys like Crawford because he move a lot and the fight is not that great. I saw Crawford the last fight and he don't move that much now. So yeah, if the money is right, I mean, why not?
Fundora promoter Samson Lukowich also said that he is convinced the 30-day deadline to strike a deal is actually less than a 15-day deadline because Lukowich is convinced Crawford still has thoughts of fighting Saul Canelo Alvarez. He said, "I'm waiting on an offer now, and I'm certain one will not come until after the 14th. I'd like to find out right now if Crawford's going to fight for the money or the titles. I believe he wants the money. Crawford will do everything he can to fight Canelo, and his team will not call me until after the fight." There is deep skepticism in the industry over whether the Fundora-Crawford ever happens. Lukowich, however, warms the conversation by saying this following Crawford's narrow third victory by unanimous decision over former World Boxing Association 154-pound title holder Israil Madrimov. Winning the final 2 rounds on all 3 scorecards decided the outcome in Crawford's favor after he failed to back or hurt the younger Uzbekistan fighter. Crawford is 37 years old, and Sebastian Fundora will kick his fucking ass. If Crawford fights the way he fought AUG 3, he has no shot. He will get knocked out by Fundora. Crawford has achieved many big things in boxing, but victory over Canelo would be his biggest accomplishment. The super middleweight world champion has only tasted defeat twice, against Dimitri Bivol and Floyd Mayweather, and it's the Bivol battle that Crawford's trainer Bomac McIntyre will be studying if a fight between Crawford and Canelo takes place. He said, "He made him move his feet. If the fight ever materialized, that's the fight that I would go back and watch. I'd look at Mayweather versus Canelo too." Tim Bradley wants Terence Crawford to take the fight with Jaron Boots Ennis. Bradley wants Crawford to come down from the clouds, stop chasing Canelo and begging for a fight, and take what's in front of him against Boots. He said, "I hear you, bud, and the Canelo fight is a dream fight of yours. However, there's a guy right around your weight class that is similar to Canelo and Benavidez. You hold 2 titles in the welterweight division." Bradley further said, "Everybody is going to come out and watch this fight because Boots is supposed to be the next coming," said Bradley. "When Bud is out the door, when he's gone, Boots is supposed to be that guy. Boots is trying to line himself up with Bud because he knows that Bud is going to be leaving the game and he believes he can beat him." Another fight that many want to see is a clash between Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez. David's father and trainer, Jose Benavidez Sr., says Terence Crawford is not an exciting fighter and reminds him of Shakur Stevenson with his approach to fighting. He feels that Crawford just focuses on winning rounds and doesn't go out of his way to entertain the fans like his son, David Benavidez, does. Jose Sr.'s view on Crawford being a dull fighter might have to do with his recent debut at 154 against WBA champion Israil Madrimov. Crawford mostly boxed Madrimov in a chess match and didn't take chances to entertain the fans. Jose said, "I'm not even going to compare David to Terence Crawford. David is an exciting fighter. David comes to throw punches and risk a lot. He comes to put on a performance." Jose further compared Crawford with his stablemate Shakur Stevenson and said, "Terence Crawford is a really good fighter. He always plays it safe and wants to win the rounds, but I don't think he risks. He doesn't give the people excitement, and he's going to come and have a good fight. To me, Terence Crawford is like a Shakur Stevenson." Crawford's showing against Madrimov wasn't the most decisive. Looking into a possible matchup against Canelo, many believe that the Mexican would be too much for Crawford. Mario Lopez said that Crawford shouldn't call out Canelo after this kind of performance.
I think he's in trouble when he fights Canelo, I'll tell you right now.
Not call out Canelo.
No. After that, I don't think so. I mean, hey, Madrimov's a badass dude, though. He's a badass dude. The whole night was great, though. Good to see you, Alex.
Bob Santos also believes that it would be a step too far for Crawford if he faces Canelo. He stated, "I think it'll be a step too big for him, but he has earned the right to try it. I think Canelo would be too big and too strong for him at 168. I could be wrong. He could prove us wrong. But for the most part, I think that's just a lot to ask of Bud to go to 168. I may think it's a step too far, but that's what makes him great. That's why he was able to win at 135, 140, 147, and now 154. And he's been successful every single time, so he's at least earned that right. That's what makes him great. Santos concedes that Crawford's legacy has been built on taking risks, and that he's earned the benefit of the doubt to make a decision like this. Crawford seems to be dead set on it, but we'll see if it ever comes to fruition. Lou DiBella advised Bud to not go for Canelo right now after watching his performance against Madrimov. He said, "Bud boxed like Bud and won. Still, I think he had less snap on his punches at 154 pounds. Not much power evident. Think that resulted in Madrimov getting maybe too much credit. That and the frustration his bouncy, herky-jerky style was creating for Bud. 168? No, not now." Ishii Smith believed the weight jump didn't carry well for Crawford and advised him to stay at 154 and not fight Canelo. Smith said, "Bud should stay at 154. Don't fight Canelo. Don't think the weight carried well." But Carlos Adams, who sparred with Terence Crawford, believes that Terence shouldn't be fighting Canelo right now. He thinks that Canelo punches really hard and it will be dangerous for Terence's boxing career.
Pienso que sí, ya que subí 3 divisiones bastante libre, demasiada yo diría. Pienso que no es algo que él lo necesita ahora mismo. Crawford en su carrera ha demostrado que es un buen peleador, pero pienso que no tiene que estar corriendo esos grandes riesgos, porque no solamente pone su carrera en riesgo, también pone su vida, porque un golpe de Canelo le puede hacer daño de por vida.
I don't think Crawford needs the Canelo fight right now. I think it's kind of needless for Crawford because his reputation is well cemented, and a punch by Canelo could not only be dangerous for him to lose the fight, but it could be dangerous for his life. So no need for Crawford to cross the line into such a heavyweight class.
Gracias, Thank you.
The sparring partner Kyrone Davis, who has shared the ring with both fighters, think that size will play a major role in this fight. He believes that Terence is a great fighter with skills, but the opponent he will be facing has skill and size both. He said that it's a big advantage for Canelo as he is bigger than Crawford, and it'll be too hard for Crawford to gain victory against Canelo. He stated, "Davis believes Crawford would find it hard to cause real damage to Canelo, who is known for his granite chin even at light heavyweight." He stated, "Absolutely, he would have to fight the perfect fight. Size will play a factor in that fight. It'll be a lot harder to damage Canelo, and Canelo's punches will be way more effective than Crawford's punches if they fight at 168, so it'll be an issue. It's not impossible, but it will be hard." Evander Holyfield believes that it would be very hard for Crawford to beat Canelo. Evander thinks this because of the weight jump Crawford will have to make in order to fight Canelo. Holyfield stated, "It's going to be hard for him to beat Canelo. He's real basic, but he's a good fighter." Daniel Jacobs believes it will be a stern test for Crawford, who has expressed the desire to move all the way up to 168 pounds to fight Canelo Alvarez. Jacobs, who fought Canelo to a unanimous decision loss in May 2019, is giving Crawford a chance against Alvarez if the super bout were to ever happen. He stated, "Skills sometimes pay the bills, and we know for sure that Crawford has the skills over Canelo. It's just sometimes power, weight, and experience may have a factor in that. So it will be a good test for Crawford, but I think the fans are the winner in that particular fight." Bernard Hopkins looked concerned for Terence Crawford, questioning his decision. He emphasized Crawford's well-being and benefit, asking what good the fight with Canelo could bring.
Crawford cares about his life, and with that fight, what do that fight do for Canelo, fighting Crawford, and Crawford beats Canelo? What do that do for Canelo? I just think that there are so many other fights to make that's realistic, it makes sense, and less life risk.
Bernard further added, "I have serious reservations about Crawford's decision to pursue this fight with Canelo. It's a risky move, and I question the wisdom behind it. As someone who's been in the ring and understands the physical toll it takes, I worry about Crawford's well-being in a matchup against someone like Canelo. What benefit does this fight hold for Crawford? There are plenty of other viable matchups available that don't carry the same level of risk." Bernard Hopkins says that he'd like to see Virgil Ortiz versus Terence Crawford instead of Crawford facing Canelo after watching Crawford's performance against Madrimov.
Don't get fooled by what Crawford displayed last week and a half, but Crawford, to me, I believe, won the fight. I believe the fight could have won a draw, so you can't look at that fight and say that he's there for pickings, that his time is running out. We get up for certain fights at that level, and sometimes it can be not as good as the one that you got up for, which was Earl Spence. So I'm not fooled by what people might be saying about Crawford, whether it's time, whether it's not. Nah, I say he gets up for fights that he gets up for, and he at that age where it takes something super exciting to get excited about. I would like to see Virgil, based on this Saturday, how he looks, how he executes, and how he wins. That it gives me a blueprint to see, yeah, he won, but will he win this way with Crawford?
Virgil Ortiz trainer Robert Garcia thought Crawford's fight with Madrimov was a very close fight, and it wasn't enough for Crawford to convince people into thinking that he could go up against Canelo at a much higher weight class. Garcia believes that a fight against Ortiz would be better for Crawford. Robert stated, maybe Crawford's performance was not good enough for people to expect him to do very well against Canelo, so maybe an Ortiz fight is a good idea. Paulie Malignaggi also advises Crawford to stay at 154 and fight the likes of Virgil Ortiz, Sebastian Fundora, and Tim Tszyu. While Crawford is not the physically strongest fighter at 154 pounds, Malignaggi believes that his exceptional boxing IQ and skills allow him to compete with anyone in the division. However, he cautions that it is not without risk, given Crawford's age of 36 and the highly competitive nature of the 154-pound division. Paulie stated, Crawford's not necessarily the strongest of fighters at 154 pounds, but his IQ's so high that he can compete with anyone there, just not without risk. He's in a very competitive division, and he's 36 years old. The prospect of him fighting Tim Tszyu, Sebastian Fundora, Virgil Ortiz Jr., Serhiy Bohachuk, or Madrimov again is very appealing. But current unified heavyweight champion and fellow pound-for-pound great Oleksandr Usyk told the 3-knockdown rule that he would expect the naturally smaller man to get his hand raised. He said, I like Terence. He's a crazy man. Terence win. Listen, Terence is different, man. Terence works on two sides, right and left. He's very smart, man. He feels distance and space. Canelo big. Yeah, good boxer, but I say Terence. Terence can box him like a big guy. Dmitry Bivol is a huge admirer of Terence Crawford, and he believes the Nebraska man could come up with a way to beat Canelo Alvarez. He said, I remember when I came to the boxing gym, one of the first lessons I learned was, you should respect weight classes. But Terence is one of my favorite active fighters. He has good skills, very good skills. Maybe he could show us something. He knows already what to do. His coach knows. They will find a solution how to do it. But Raleigh Romero believes that Canelo will straight up murder Crawford if the fight ever happens.
Bruh, if Terence Crawford moves up to fight Canelo, it's gonna be a worse fight than Charlo running around and all this stuff. I'm gonna tell you straight up, Canelo by murder against Crawford. That shit wouldn't happen. They have weight classes for a reason.
So what are your thoughts about this situation? Do you want to see a Canelo-Crawford fight? Do let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.